I'm a father because I have two sons. I have one, my oldest son, who is over in the corner, who's in the military. He graduated from John Hay, and I have another son who's in college, who is at Miami University of Ohio, going for his degree in business. One of the things that was very important, now we were sitting there laughing, I came to the school to come visit them one time because they got in trouble. And it was like terror because they didn't want me to come up there. The son was in the midst of a journey to fulfill his purpose. And the only voice that he looked to hear from was not from his mother. It was from his father to say, son, well done. You can go you're doing a good job. So never underestimate the power of confirming and actually praising your children. Did I do it all the time right? Man, I'm from St. Clair. I'm from the Clair. I'm from 118th of St. Clair. So that you might see this suit and bow tie. It ain't always been suits and bow ties. But I had to learn that my children needed my voice, they needed my ear, and no matter what was going on with the mother, they needed my presence. Never underestimate the power of your presence, your ability to listen, and your power to validate your child. Sometimes it's not how much you spend. I heard somebody talk about Christmas, because I've been there with Christmas. I'm done with Christmas, right, Destin? You ain't saying that. I'm done with Christmas. It's your amount of time that you spend with your child. Sometimes we think if we can buy the child's love and that'll do it, that don't cut it. It's when you able to spend just a moment. Me and my son, I went to go pick him up today. We rode over here to the west side. It's the time that we spent. When he was in South Korea, guess what? I missed the time that I had with my son. My younger son, who's in college, I check on him. It's the time. Never underestimate. It's not the amount of how much money you spend, but how much time that you spend with your child. And I know we got third shifters, I'm a second shifter, first shifters and everything like that, but I don't got no time, I gotta do this. If I can say anything, a pointer, spend time with your child by yourself.
Salute everybody. This is Lawrence D. Amish. When spirituality and the game combined, you have the thinking class. Shout out to everybody that's here. Shout out to the crew. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Golden Child. Shout out to everybody that's here. Let's get it going today. We have an interesting topic. Let me get to the screen for it because I think it's something that we need to talk about. This is the screensaver today. Stop complaining and have your own. Let me say that again because I think some guys, we on this space in here. I've been heard a bunch of complaint. Look, stop complaining and have your own. Let me say that again. Shout out to the brothers and the sisters. Everybody salute. What's going on? Was ready to cook. What's going on? Shout out to everyone. Stop complaining and have your own. Shout out to True Cyrus. Shout out to Trav. Good to see everybody in the place to be. Stop complaining and have your own. Let me get going. Let me get the cooking, as they would say in these YouTube streets and these places to be. We got a lot of overabundance of men. Let me talk to the men folks for a second who are complaining about women, complaining about their job, complaining about what she ain't gonna do. She ain't submissive. She ain't doing this. She ain't doing that. I understand. I hear you, brothers. I understand the dating climate. I'm going to say climax, but dating climate. They understand that, I understand. But you complaining and talking in circles ain't going to change nothing. Let me say that again. You complaining and crying online. I got to bring it up for those who don't want to hear it. I understand that these women are doing all this. Let me get for all my all those out here doing that. These women ain't doing this. These people ain't doing that. This ain't right. They want to do this. They taking over. They get the woman king. All that whining and crying is not going to add up to nothing. There's no one going to. Let me say this. You need to put this in the chat room. There's no one coming to save you. Let me say that again. Let me tilt my hat to the side. There's no one coming to what's going on. There's no one coming to save you. If you're looking for somebody to come and save you and to hear you're complaining, get the bottle out of your mouth because it ain't about to happen. I got to give my own claps on that one. No one coming to save you. We can analyze, we can spiritualize, we can hypothesize, we can do all these things to say what's going on, and you trying to justify your complaining because of how the landscape of things are. But ain't nobody coming to save you, brother. Ain't nobody's coming to feel sorry for you. Ain't nobody's going to do it. And it's time for somebody from me to say it to you, because it ain't gonna happen until you do it. That's why this stream is saying you must get your own. You tired of what the situation is with these women? Stop complaining about it. I never seen so much complaining from men about the landscape of women when we are the leaders. Yeah, I know. I done dated. I done deal with some of them. I understand. But at the end of the day, come on. Some of y'all got on diapers. Don't you do that, Siri. Some of y'all walking around with man diapers. Because you're complaining and whining in situations. This ain't it. Guess what? Let me tell you something. Life is not fair. I don't care how much we try to, it's everything should try to make this utopia. Life is not fair. It goes to the winner, not to the ones who barely trying, who's lazy, don't get up. It goes to the winner. Stop complaining about where you are at. You can get on these YouTube streets. You can find somebody who's going to justify what these women are doing. Because it's the main thing right now. It's about the women. You can complain about your money situation. You can complain there ain't no jobs. You can complain about this. What the heavens are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit back and complain like the rest of the guys? Man, I know complaining becomes feels real good, because now you got your compadres, you got your bros who coming along and say, yo, man, yeah, I feel what you're saying. They justifying what you're saying. There ain't nothing going to change until you get off of your asphalt and do something about it. Let me emphasize these to the men. I understand the whole thing with the woman king. I done broke it down all last week. But where are you going to stop complaining about it and do something about it so that your narrative is pushed out there? See, this is the thing. It's easy to sit back in the corners of the internet and on Facebook and on Instagram and post things and say, things should go this way. And I don't understand why, their women are more masculine in this time and age. And, I don't understand, why these women don't want to submit. And I don't understand, why this is happening this way. At the end of the day, ain't nobody coming to save you. These women ain't going to change because you said something. Trust me. They won't. They want to be saved for what they don't want to face. Come on. Let me say this. These women are not going to change just because you post something on the internet. Let me say that again. I know you want to say that. I know you want them to understand. Just hear my side of the story. They don't care about your side of the story. Let me say that again for those in the back that don't want to believe me. They don't care if you agree with them or not. They don't care if you agree with them or not. At the end of the day, she's looking at you like a little whiny, you know what, because you're complaining about what ain't going your way. I promise you, we can do seminars, we can do classes, and you can say, well, you can come in there, you can hold hands, kumbaya, and these women are doing this, and the job market ain't right, and I wish I had. Come on. Let me help you brothers out right quick. The more you whine and complain on the internet, the more you see, I watched it. See, that's the thing. Most people don't want, you got to hear this. It's easy to find a group of people who are going to justify your complaints. Come on. But I'm in a different thing than other guys, right? Okay. Likes up when you enter the building. Appreciate that. Appreciate the cash app. Hit that cash app. Whiny. Yeah. I never in my life seen so many men who are complaining about okay. How many times we gonna say it? You got a choice. Either you deal with them or you don't. Or you go where you want to deal with the women who want to deal with you. But all this complaining about, well, the narrative they push out there in social media, do something about it. I promise you, if men were to take the same energy that they're complaining about the current situations, how it ain't right, how it ain't fair, and do something about it, trust me, the women will follow. The problem is you complaining just as much as she's complaining. Let me say that again. You're complaining just as much as she is complaining. And what happens is it turns into a complaining Woodstock. Everybody come together and they playing their favorite complaining songs. That's why it's imperative, every man, to have his own, to stand on his 2 feet, to have something that says that this is mine. Whether it's your name, whether it's your house, whether it's an apartment, whether it's a studio apartment, whatever it is, this is my car, this is where I travel, this is mine. A man was designed to possess something and dominate it, to capture, to strive, to take over, to run, not complain. We can give statistics, we can give all the statistics that we want from Black demographics. We can get it from the other demographics. We can get it from the census. We can say, look at the dating pool and what's going on and what this is going on. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do with those statistics? What are you going to do to make a difference in your life and those around you? I'm just trying to tell you guys. I understand. Trust me. Think about it. I know it's entertaining to talk about some of the foolery of some of the women and some of the things they do, and some of the foolery that some of the men are doing, some of the stars are doing, some of the, basketball coaches are doing, and understand and analyze that. And we complain on this side and we complain on that side. But it's when a man steps up and takes charge of his life, when a man takes charge and say, this belongs to me. This is what I have dominion over. A woman at the end of the day is looking for a man that says he has dominion over something. Even if it's a piece of cookie, that's my cookie. What happens is we have a lot of men did not get the baton from their fathers, from their grandfathers, or from the people around them. And so what has happened is you start in a race from the beginning while others are already been in a race running 4 laps ahead of you. Let me say that again. A lot of men are starting this race called life without the baton from their fathers. So while everyone else is running the race, doing laps around you, you're trying to get in the race and you're just now getting the baton. No one has told you that you need to have your own. No one told you that you need to stop complaining. No one told you that you can have better. No one told you that you need to take dominion. No one told you that this belongs to you. So you enter into a race with a baton, trying to catch up to other people who are already there. Let me say this too, since we're going to get some facts here. You got to understand that the race is already rigged. They have given but whether you like it or not, and anybody can go back and dispute it, they have given the baton to the women, yes, to have a head start in the race above you. This is no slight against the women. It is what it is. They have poured the money into educating the women so they have a baton ahead of you. Don't fight it. I know you don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. This is proven data that have poured into the women to make sure they have a head start ahead of you in this race that we call life, with education, financially, and many other ways. And they have left a lot of men on the sidelines trying to get into the race, trying to get to the finish line, only to realize that the race was already rigged against them. And the only way for you to really get this down is for you to have your own. Any woman that would jump on here will tell you, yeah, it's Glenn. I just talked to my mother this weekend. She said, that sounds, all that stuff they're talking about, I want to be a queen, I want to be a king. She said, I don't want to do all those things. I want a man in my life that's going to lead. So if my mother is catching it and she understands it, how much more is important for you to stop complaining? And that ain't the word I want to use. For you to stop moaning. These girls ain't faithful. They all 304s. They all gonna do this. Stop complaining. Let me say something. Let me say this, and let me get the other side of this. When you're constantly complaining about something, it actually causes you to be in a cycle of it constantly attracting to you. Why? Because you focus on the foolery and what you're complaining about, and you begin to attract those women, those situations, those problems, those things into your life. The moment you get off the carousel of complaining and whining and things ain't right, these men ain't right, these people ain't right, these women ain't right, this situation ain't right, and get off of the carousel of complaining and jump off. It may hurt. You might get scraped up, but if you jump off and actually say, I'm going to do something and own my own. Let me break it down another way. There's all these men we have this manosphere, black manosphere, all these things like that. The biggest thing that we can do is support each other and work together. Support each other and work together. Support each other with your time, your money, your finances, so that your narrative is pushed out into the world. You can say protest, woman king, all you want. Great. What that's going to do? If you don't have a counter to it, shut your mouth. If you don't have a counter, you don't have a movie, you don't have a screenplay, you don't have a short, you don't have nothing to counter it. What is the purpose of boycotting it if you don't have an image of men to say, this is how a man is, this is how a woman is, this is how a traditional family is? If you have nothing to counter it. See, we good at fight the power. Fight the power. We march, protest, do all these things, Twitter protests. But at the same time, we have no alternative for someone to watch and say, hey, you know what? You might have seen The Woman King. Okay, it was a good movie, whatever the case may be. The narrative is all there and things like that. But what is the counter to that? This is how a man is. This is how a woman is. This is what we need. It takes it from complaining to giving a narrative. This is how we need to be. And if you watch it, the world is watching. Pay attention to what I'm saying. The world is watching the manosphere as a whole. They're watching what men are thinking, what they're sensing, where they're going to vote, how they're going to move. Your complaints ain't going to do it. You can complain till the cows come home. It is when you vote with your feet and say, this is what I'm not going to go for. When you make a stand and say, that's it. That is what's going to change the trajectory of how men are viewed. If you believe in a traditional conservative view, this is what is going to change it. We can politic all we want. I promise you. We can politic all we want on YouTube, Facebook, and this one is doing that inside of church, this and doing this one outside of church. We can do all of that. It is when they see a united front of men standing up and say, this is what we want. We ain't complaining about it. We demanding it. We call the shots. You watch when you do that, how the women will come on board. You watch how corporations will say, hey, what we got going on here? These men are saying this is what they want. We better pay attention. It is only when we unite, come together, and stop complaining. Let me say this. Do you understand?
Execute Order 66.
Do you understand that they make money off of you complaining about the situations in your life? Because they know that you ain't gonna do nothing about it. Let me say that again. They make money. YouTubers, everybody else, Facebookers, Instagrammers, TikTokers, Snapchats, everybody make money off of your complaints because you refuse to do anything about it. They know that it is easier to complain than for you to get off the couch and do something. They know that you are more talk than action. And trust me, let me tilt my hat to the side. The women know that you more talk than action and ain't gonna do nothing. So guess what they're gonna do? Constantly keep hitting the ball for you because you haven't stepped up and say, no, hey, babe, I got this. Let me hit this whole run. Trust me, I promise you what I'm telling you. I'm telling you this. When you get off that carousel of complaining, I need you to put a number 2 if this is making sense to do, if this is resonating with you. Put a number 2 in the chat room if this is resonating with you. You get what I'm saying. Put a number 2 in the chat room if this is resonating with you. Put a number 2 in the chat room. Now this is the thinking class. This is where we think and we think over here. So if this is resonating with you, put a number 2 in the chat room. You getting what I'm saying? Thank you for the brothers who responded. Thank you. This is the turning point. Because if you look at the landscape of a lot of content that's out there, it's a bunch of complaining. It's a bunch of whining. It's a bunch of pointing of fingers on both sides, men and women. But not enough content that tells you to get off of your butt and do something. It's not enough content. You know why? Most people don't want to hear that. They want somebody to cuddle them. They wanted to tell them, it's okay. She did that to you. Oh my God. She's a 304, but you're the one who picked the 304. These women here in this country, they're all like this. Okay, but you keep dealing with them. You can get your passport and go fly somewhere else and deal with women who are different. The thing of it is this. Thank you. Real men don't complain. Thank you so much. So I want you to get this. Because if you get into a cycle of complaining, you're going to get a cycle of not doing nothing with your life. You know, the job ain't doing it. They ain't gave me no raise, and they ain't doing nothing for me. This ain't happened. I went over here and they took my shoe. Then I ran out of the other shoe. I only got cornbread to eat, and I ain't got no beans. I got peanut butter, but I ain't got no jelly. I wish I had a bread to have a peanut butter and jelly sauce. You can say all that stuff. All that complaining is going to go and lead you to nowhere. It's when the man stands up in his authority as a man. And you don't need to say that you are the man to be the man, and says, you know what? This is mine. This is what I'm going to take the mean over. See, the first, and let me help some guys out who need to hear this. The first thing you need to take dominion over is yourself, while making other dudes rich. Right, dude, I promise you, they're making other dudes rich by the complaining. Complaining men will raised with feminism as a priority. Y'all, see, you got it. You understand. And you think about, let me say this. Let me say it because complaining men were raised with feminists as a priority. Let me say this. When you eject the father out of the house, or the masculine out of the house, the young son, if he doesn't have the right proper guidance around him from other men, he end up taking on what? Some of the traits of the complaints and the what? Disdain that the mother may have towards men because the father is not there for whatever reason. So now the complaining, he's doing what he has seen his mother do and don't even know it, that he's doing what he's seen his mother do. Don't, I'm not talking about all men. I ain't talking about all women. So while she complained, well, you know, your father ain't nothing. Your father should have been there. These men ain't nothing. What happens is y'all ready for this? He then says, you know what? You right, men ain't nothing. And some choose what? To be their mother and never to be their father. If you catch what I just said, you get it. Some men choose because of the complaints that the mother, aunts, grandmothers, and people had towards men have chosen. So you know what? I think the best thing for me to do is not to be like my dad, but to be like my mother and aunts so that they don't have to deal with the complaints. Sometimes the role of a man in the house validates feminism too, but hey, right. Let me say that again. So you got to understand this whole narrative, this whole thing that takes place. And this is not a blame game. This is a choice game. But if you've been conditioned or socialized to hear the complaints that men ain't nothing, that they no good for nothing, all he gonna cheat and all he gonna do is lay around with the next girl, and you know he got another family down the street, you know this, he ain't worth a quarter, he can't, what's going to happen? That takes a blow at the self-esteem of that young man or at that little boy. He now looks in the mirror and begins to internalize the complaints that he has heard all around him growing up. And what you're seeing now is a harvest. Let me say that again. What you're seeing, what's going on, Ted? What you're seeing now is a harvest of men who may have grew up in this type of environment where complaining was the source of nourishment that they got. And now they don't like themselves emotionally, physically, mentally, and definitely spiritually. Why? Because they heard the complaints all around them since they were kids. They may not understood the whole concept or the whole narrative that was going on between their mother and father, or with different men and things like that. But what has happened is they have internalized the words and looked in the mirror and seen that they are what was complained about, especially if it was the son's or even the daughter's father. Because it taints the woman, takes the daughter, it taints the what? It taints the daughter's perception of men from the complaints that she have grew around and conversations she didn't listen to that she shouldn't have been hearing that was just for adults, or the conversation thrown in her lap as a little girl that men ain't nothing. And so the complaints now become part of her socialization and dealing with men. And now she can never deal with men correctly. He can never deal with himself correctly. So then what happens is it causes a cycle of never knowing how to properly function together, and someone gets paid off of the dysfunctionality of complaints. Someone gets paid off of the socialization that takes place because of someone complaining about their disgruntledness with the other sex or with their own. And so it causes a cycle. So what we're seeing now is a harvest. Let me talk to the men first. A men who were socialized or groomed in the environment of complaining through television that men ain't nothing. He's dumb. He's the Simpsons. He's Homer Simpsons. He's the father of everybody. Everybody hates Chris. Or he's the other many of mirages of television shows that pit men in a light that wasn't well. But just because there's a harvest doesn't mean that there's not a sickle. That means a sickle to cut down this harvest and plant the right seeds so that you own your image and who you are. I'm talking to you, brothers. Slave complaint masters makes them make things happen by taking action. It's all mental. Mindset is important. Correct. So let me say that again. So we see the harvest. We see the problems. We see the environment that a lot of men have grew up in and the lack of. But the thing of it is, you have a choice to take the harvest that's been given to you and to do almost a switcheroo and say, hey, I don't have to eat this anymore. I decided that I'm going to own my own harvest, and I'm going to, as Drea said, I'm going to change my mindset and become the man that I need to become. I'm going to be the one who changes the narrative for the people around me. I'm the one who says, I don't want to hear no more complaining. All I want is action. I'm the one that says, yes, that took place inside of my childhood. Yes, I didn't have a good relationship with my father. Yes, everything didn't work out with the men in my life. Yes, my mom said this. Yes, my dad said this. But I'm going to do something about it today. In the Bible, it says, choose you this day who you will serve. So you have to choose, what narrative are you going to take on? Are you going to take on the narrative of the complaining, the whining, the crying, and what didn't go right, and who did you wrong, and where this happened, and I wanted a Jerry curl, but I couldn't get the Jerry curl. I wanted waves, but I went bald. I had to wear buddies to school. That means you had to wear them low end shoes that everybody laughed at you at because you couldn't wear Converse. I was one of those kids. Whatever the case may be, are you going to sit there and eat off of that harvest? Or are you going to sit and eat off of the seeds that you're planting today and eat the harvest, not just for you, but for others? For others to eat from. Appreciate that, Jay. Appreciate that. Another great topic, Eddie. More people should listen into these classes. Yeah. Let me say that again. Are you going to sit there and eat the harvest of everyone's complaint about you. You're complaining. The complaints that you heard from your mama, the complaints you heard from your daddy, your grandma, your cousin, your aunties, all of them. Are you going to sit there and eat the harvest from that? Or are you going to clear your plate and tell the waiter, you're mine? I demand a different, better service. I demand better food. I don't want to eat no more complaining. I don't want to eat no more the sourness of complaining of others people's situations or what they think. I want my harvest, and my harvest demands that I own what I have. Woo! There we go. Harvest happens every year annually. And we are coming into the harvest time, fall time. What have you been? You need to declare crop failure for all that complaining you've been doing and all the complaining you've been digesting. You need to declare, you as I'm going to talk to the men. You need to declare I command the crop failure for all the complaining, all the whining, all the content I have been digesting on these YouTube streets, Instagram streets, and all the other streets about complaining about women, money, sex. This ain't happening. This ain't happening. All that. You need to declare a crop failure in that area in your life. You need to speak and say, nah, bruh, that ain't going no more over here. I declare a crop failure over those things. So you actually see those things that you've been complaining about, that your mama, cousin, all them been complaining about. You seeing that it begins to wither in front of you. What's going on, Joe Blas? Good to see you. That it begins to wither in front of you, and that it begins to diminish. And now you realize that even though we're entering to the fall season, you got to realize that you have the power to change your season by your words and what you think. You have the ability to change your season. Even though we're going into fall season, this can be your season to plant and to harvest at the same time. Let me say that again, because I know it might have went over some people's heads. You need to declare a crop failure after all the complaining and whining that you have done, that you have digested, that you heard from your mama, you heard from your cousin, you heard of this, all the complaining about this, and this ain't right. The food stamp, I only have $5 in food stamp, and you trying to all that complaining. You need to declare a crop failure over that. And what you need to do, realize that you have the ability to change your season at any time and plant something that you want to see harvest. Fertilize your soil, water and sun the crop, and reap what you sowed. Right. So if you want to, and guess what? When you do what he just said, oh my God, let's listen to what he said. Fertilize your soil, water and sun the crops, and reap what you sow. And don't forget to rotate your field. If you do all of that, guess what? It goes to the latter part of this show today. You own it. You own it. You own it. You own what belongs to you. All you men, I'm gonna say it again. Probably my battle cry for now on. You men, you men's folks, own what you own, who you are, own your narrative, own your image. Why do you think I come up here with fedoras? Do you come up here with hats? Why do you think I come up here the way I am? Why do you think I teach the game? Strategies for moving one point to the next. Understanding human nature, understanding what? This basic psychology. Why do you think I do that? So that you can become the best version of yourself. First industry teaches you have to maneuver through life. Come on. Telling you. So I want you to really get this today. Time out for all the complaining. If you want to go somewhere and complain and whine about what ain't working for you, what these 304s ain't doing, and what the women ain't doing, and what the women king ain't doing, and what this ain't doing, and what that ain't doing, and maybe you can do all that you want. Don't come over here crying. I don't want to hear it. Maybe we need to make agriculture primary again. Yep, it's been out of our system because we don't understand the power of sowing and reaping. We don't understand the harvest. We don't understand that we can crop failure. You can burn the crops up. You can do so much, but I want you to get this. I really want you to stop digesting all these Doritos and processed, whoa, there it is. Processed content with preservatives in it. Processed content with preservatives in it. Processed content with preservatives in it. Stop digesting all this processed content with preservatives in it. With GMO in it. With GMO in it. Stop processing all this content with GMO preservatives in a GMO processed content that's actually killing your system. I remember when my brother and I, we had a dog. I think we had 2 dogs. We had several dogs. One of the dogs we had, one of the people told us, we thought just to get the dog some puppy chows, because puppy chow wasn't that much. I think it was $3.35 or $3 something like that for a bag of puppy chow. And when we get that puppy chow, we would feed it to the dog. That dog would eat it up. And we realized the dog started growing, but he would poop everywhere. He would poop everywhere. The dog would poop everywhere. I was like, man. So an older guy came and said, hey, man, young guys, what you feeding the dog? I said, we feeding them puppy chow. I said, you feeding them puppy chow? No. You don't need to get that dog, no. We don't get to get that dog no puppy chow. He need to be getting something different with lamb and meat and different things in it so they can be strong and grow his bone to be strong, and he'll have a nice coat. But what happens is, because it was so convenient to feed the dog puppy chow, and no shout out puppy chow if you're listening, it is what it is. And we wasn't giving the dog quality food. It was affecting the shine of the puppy's coat, his teeth, his bones, and of course his bowel movements. And so when we changed the puppy's diet, we begin to see a change in the puppy's coat, his teeth, his bones, how active he was, how much he went, and even in his stool. Why? Because we changed what the dog or what the puppy was eating. It was more convenient. It was real convenient to feed them puppy chow. We would go down and walk down the hill, go get that puppy chow, walk back up the hill. I buy some puppy chow, my brother gets some puppy chow, somebody else gets puppy chow. But what happens is it wasn't healthy for the system of the dog. Same with us. We have been digesting the puppy chow or processed food or the GMO of content and have not really digested something that's going to strengthen us and take us to the next level. We have not taken ownership as men, especially talk to men first. We have not taken ownership of what's ours. And when we begin to get into a cycle of complaining, if you do not get out of the wash The washing, you never get out the dryer or the wash machine of complaining. You're going to be constantly be spending. Let me read this. Are we stuck in a loop, constantly complaining instead of creating, maintaining, and solving problems? Thank you. And let me say this for those in the back of the room, for those who be listening in the clouds. In the clouds, you're listening. Y'all better stop complaining about these women. If they ain't gonna change, leave them alone. If they ain't gonna change, leave them alone. You can politic, you can reason, you can some of y'all leading with your wallet. You can cheat, you can do whatever you want. If they ain't gonna change, leave them alone. Y'all got this thing of thinking that is your obligation, and somebody was talking to somebody last night, your obligation that you must try to change people, change these women. They got to do what I say do. I'm trying to change these women. Stop it. Stop it. You need to make better choices. And the first choice you need to do is to have your own. You'll be amazed how when you're in the cycle of complaining, how you will begin to attract women that meet your complaint. Let me say that again, because I think y'all missed it, and I'm going to go because I got so much to say. You'll be amazed when you are in the cycle of complaining, how many women will meet your complaints. How many women will show up that will meet what you've been complaining about? Hold up. Change someone sounds like what woman do. Right. Let me say that again. You'll be surprised when you're in the cycle of complaining and these women ain't doing it. How many women will begin to pop up who meet the cycle of complaining that you have about them? Let me say that again. You'll be surprised of how many women would pop up, how many situations, how many problems would show up in your life when you're constantly focusing on what you're complaining about. They seem to come like roaches out of nowhere. It just comes out of like roaches everywhere. Because you constantly focusing on what you're complaining, and the woman shows up or the situation shows up to confirm what you've been complaining about. All people, remember, you meet no one else in this world. You only meet you. LDA, facts. Change yourself and how you show up, and you are amazed how women will change and fall in line. Bing bong. That's it right there. Fellas, men recognize who people are for who. Men recognize who people are for who they are and treat them accordingly. It's useful. They are utilized and useless, and they are left. Yep. I promise you, the moment you take your eyes off all the complaints, I'm saying that you don't. This is the thing. This is not to say that you are I'm just going to ignore what these women doing or what this situation is doing or what the government doing and what. No, that's not that. But when it turns into a complaint and you feeling this way about it, what's going to happen is you're going to attract those situations in your life. It's just like magically, it becomes magically delicious. They just show up in your life. These situations shows up in your life, what you're complaining about. Man, my car always going down and I can't get nothing right. When I'm trying to I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. Y'all ain't heard them. I'm doing this. What you constantly complain about is going to constantly show up in your life because you only meet you in this world. Wednesday. Let's continue the conversation. This is Lawrence D. Adams. Hit the super chat, hit the cash app, and we out. These men complaining about this and that, like a bunch of whining pansies. Girl ain't gonna give you nothing by complaining. Girl ain't gonna give you nothing by complaining. It gives to the man who does something. He owns what belongs to him. I promise you, stop dealing with what you're complaining about, it'll change. We are the masters of analyzing complaints. We are masters at analyzing complaints. We are the masters of analyzing complaints. I don't understand. Oh, I know I got to get. We are the masters of analyzing and picking apart complaints, instead of being the master of who we are and owning who we are. We need to stop mastering complaints and start mastering who we are. But I gotta go. Wednesday.